All right, guys. Hey, thanks for coming back. I forgot to talk about a lot of things in my last video, so I'm going to try to catch up on a few of those things. Now, I did make a mistake, like I said before, during the first week where I bought the wrong type of meat. It wasn't necessarily super huge big mistake because I just bought lean ground beef, like a 90 or 95%. So it doesn't have enough fat content to help push it through the system correctly. So I have to add additional butter. Now, what I did here is basically I have 2 hamburger patties. Now I cooked the hell out of these hamburger patties. I tried doing it out on the grill. The grill ran out of propane, so I had to come inside and unfortunately kind of wrecked my cast iron by doing it, but you know, it is what it is. So I made these on the cast iron skillet and I added a lot of extra bacon fat just so everything could kind of absorb. We got extra fat content in here. Another thing I did do was add pepper jack cheese. Now it's a thin slice of pepper jack cheese on each, gives it plenty of flavor. And then I put this butter, which adds about 10 to 20% more fat value to the overall plate. Now the reason I did this, and this is a common mistake made by a lot of beginners, and guess what? I'm a beginner. I'm starting this again. The first time I did it was, yeah, a pretty epic mistake and nothing went well. So anyhow, you need to add the extra fat to the meat and buy the fattier cuts of meat in order for this whole little process to work and things to glide through. Well, how do I know how much fat content I need to have? Well, I know I need to have some, and just from experience over the previous week, and it was also something that was warned to me by our viewer and also other close friends and family relatives. We talked about this in a pretty decent circle. And you know, some of the information I got was, yeah, you need to worry about constipation when you're jumping in. If you don't get the fattier meats, you need to add more fats. This right here, this is more fats. And then, you know, basically wait till tomorrow or the next day and see how your poop comes out. Now, when your poop comes out, that's a good indicator of the amount of fats that you have, because now you're substituting the meat and the fats. And this is all something I'm just kind of learning, and it's also part of the reason why I can't just recommend this, because I don't know enough about carnivore to just be like, yeah, man, try this and see how it goes. I'm experimenting myself right now, and I'm learning from you guys. I'm also learning from all the other doctors that I'm following on YouTube or personal relatives in my life that are doing carnivore. Now, another thing that I noticed is that a lot of these people that are doing carnivore right now, they're really not 100% carnivore, if that makes any sense. They're doing about 90% carnivore, 10% kind of whatever. And that's a pretty good ratio when it comes down to the long story of things. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this. I already put this in the microwave. I made my burgers yesterday and I heated it up on one side for 30 seconds. I flipped it over. Let's see, I put the cheese on top. I heated it up for another minute. That helped melt the cheese. Now I'm just going to put this in the microwave for another 30 seconds to soften up the butter a little bit. And that'll just make it a whole lot easier for me to eat. Now, I've heard a lot of people talk about, oh, well, don't use the microwave. It could potentially, damage your food, you're radiating your food, you're losing nutrients. Well, the thing is you're going to be constantly losing nutrients no matter what you do. I mean, if you heat up food, you're losing some of the nutrients, and if you heat it up too much, you're losing a lot of nutrients. And here comes my doggie. She wanted inside. But anyhow, that is incredibly important. And if you're ever cooking bacon, I mean, I'm sure most of you all know. Now, I do have a little tip for storing bacon in something like this, and it helps prevent making a mess. If you take the jar itself, now this jar is pretty full, so I'm not going to be putting any more bacon grease in here, but if you take the jar itself and you place a pan down, and then you set the jar on top of a pan, then you take your bacon grease out of your cast iron or whatever you're cooking your bacon in, and you just pour your grease into the jar. That way it's going to spill. I mean, everybody's done this, but it's going to spill, so you want to have your spillage in another pan. That way you can just wipe it out, reseason the pan, and everything should be good to go. And you're not making a huge mess on the counter. All right, back to my wonderful mess here. You know, I got the butter, it's kind of warmed up, it's falling on the side. That's okay. We're gonna eat it all. But some of the things I've noticed about myself this week with the carnivore diet is that the first day I felt incredibly, how can I say that? A little bit bobble-headed. That was on day 1 and day 2. I felt bobble-headed. Now, it was kind of hard to break that or shake that. I was starting to get a little bit concerned, but it did go away by Wednesday. Now, Wednesday is the day where I noticed I was definitely in ketosis by Wednesday. That's a plus. I want to get this butter on top of here because that way it just, butter is a condiment to carnivores in my opinion. Salted, unsalted, that's a great debate. So, which is it? Do you guys like to use the salted butter? But the only issue I might have with salted butter is I don't know where the salt's coming from versus, you know, let's say the Kerrygold, which is unsalted. I had the wife pick this up when she went to Costco. Now I can add whatever type of salt that I want. That way I know what's going into my food. So this is salted butter that's on here. It's pre-salted. I'm just gonna, you know, cut my losses with it. I'm not gonna make a super huge deal about it. So it is what it is. And I now have this, so I can start using this and I can just add Himalayan pink salt. Red mint salt, I was recommended red mint salt, and I think that's very important. And I do appreciate whoever mentioned that. And I'll have to look into locations that actually have that type of salt. But I need to get this stuff in the fridge because it's starting to get a little bit warm. And then, and my cat, everybody loves the kitty. Here's the kitty. Hi, say hi. You know you love these people. People love you. I've been told that many times. That people like you. But back to the butter. Okay, add whatever type of salt that I want. I do have something else to talk about today. And that's how I get ready for work in the morning. So anytime you're doing any type of fasting, it's incredibly important to have a strategy for your work day. Now, carnivore, I'm mixing carnivore with fasting right now, so this is just as important doing carnivore. I do understand, you know, hey, I can eat whenever I want, and I don't have to worry about much of anything. Just need to eat, you know, proteins and fats. Stay at your protein base for the day, no matter what. So I do hit my protein goals pretty good when I get home, and I've been reasonably satisfied. And the one nice thing about this carnivore adventure is that afterwards I just feel pumped, like yeah, come on, let's come at me, let's go. You know, I feel frisky. So if I were to ever get in a situation, I feel like I can handle myself well and I wouldn't power out real quick. Like I got enough energy in me to, you know, take on the world, that's great. That's awesome. Anyhow, let me get right back here. So basically what I have here, this is a, you know, typical Alaskan to-go bag. This bag has everything. I mean, it even has a inhaler for the cold winter months. I used to have asthma attacks in the winter. Well, I started losing weight. I don't have a problem with asthma anymore. So this is just around for, you know, just emergencies. And there's a ton of stuff in here. There's Q-tips, nail clippers, different phone chargers. But what this bag is primarily used for, it's just extra Alaska gear and these water bottles. Now I bought 3 of these water bottles. Yeah, they're plastic. I get it. BPA's, whatever. It says BPA free on the bottom. They're made in China. I didn't have the money at the time to run out and buy really expensive water bottles. So over here, I, of course, have my apple cider vinegar, my Himalayan pink salt, and I added something new to my electrolyte mix that I didn't have previously before, and I don't believe I talked about with you guys. Now, another ingredient I use is this lemon juice here, and that's just the main reason I use the lemon juice isn't so much for the extra magnesium and stuff like that. It's got some extra benefits, but I like the ability for it to help with a little bit of the flavor. Now, I don't measure my electrolyte mixture at all, but what I do is I take each one of these bottles, I fill these, the white bottles, and they're different colors for a reason. So I fill these with just water. Now this first bottle, I'll drink this first bottle between the time I get to work, and about 9 o'clock, this first bottle will be gone. And these are vented bottles. They're pretty cool. They have locks right here, so when you pack them in your bag, they're not just gonna fly open. So I flip that down. They also have a little carry tab, so if you got a carabiner on your bag, you can just, you know, kind of dangle it on your bag. But they pop open like that. Now when you put them up to your mouth and you tip them up, these aren't like drinking out of a soda bottle, which I love. They're vented caps, so I can tip it up. I'm not getting any spillage out of these bottles. So I can tip it up like this and just start chugging, chugging, chugging. And before you know it, I have, you know, about that much of the water, you know, down, or at least in my mouth. And then I'm drinking that. So I'll drink about half of the bottle in an hour and a half. I'm probably going to urinate out all of this. And then I'm going to drink another bottle and the rest of this bottle and the next hour and a half till 9 o'clock. And this bottle's be done. Now, this is my afternoon bottle. I drink this one to get me through the rest of the day and get me to the house. Sometimes it doesn't get completely finished. Now, this is the bottle that I use for my electrolyte mixture, and that's why it's black. So I can easily identify it. It's going to be getting darker here in Alaska soon, so it's just easy to recognize. I know this is going to be my electrolyte mix. So when I make that electrolyte mix, the first thing I do is I take a splash of apple cider vinegar, dump it in the bottle, real simple. Now the Himalayan pink salt, this is great for electrolytes. Now you don't need the apple cider vinegar, you don't need the lemon juice to create electrolytes. You just need water and Himalayan pink salt, or any other really unrefined salt will work just fine. So I use the Himalayan pink salt. It's the Kirkland brand. There's other types of salts out there you can use. I would just stay away from overly processed salts like this stuff here. Yeah, don't use this because there's nothing in it. There's really not a whole lot in here. It's just basically sodium, and that's not what you want. You want all the dirt and the minerals and the good stuff that make this stuff here pink. And you know, salt's not supposed to be white, like really white. Now you can get other sea salts that are really white, but if you really look at them closely, they're not like bleach white like this stuff here. So try to avoid this stuff if possible. And don't even add that stuff into your food. So when wintertime comes, we're going to use that for the driveway, and we're going to use this for making foods and cooking and other ingredients. I use this salt in many things. I even use it for boiling eggs. I put this salt in the water, boil my eggs, and I've got a pretty specific way of doing that. We'll talk about that on a different day. But the new addition to my electrolyte mix is this here. Now, a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, he recommended this stuff. I went out and I bought it, you know, because he's a smart guy. We talk a lot. And he's got a lot of great advice. And he's got some stuff going on, and he didn't finish exactly what to do with this stuff. I had this stuff sitting on the shelf. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know anything about it or how to use it. So, but anyways, if you look on the back here, it says 0 calories, and it has 690 milligrams of potassium. So okay, that made sense. Now, I didn't put 2 and 2 together until a commenter on one of my videos said, yeah, get no salt or use tartar. Now, I was warned about a product called tartar. I don't even know what it's used for real. I just know what it's called. It's either tartar or tartar, but no matter. We're talking about no salt here. And both of them carry a lot of potassium. Now, the potassium I've been using for my cramping. Now, so that I was starting to cramp up at work, so that's why I started adding it in here. Now, one thing I do want to say is only add a little bit. This stuff goes a long way. So yeah, I'll tip up the container and I'll just, that's it in this whole bottle here. And when I make the mixture in a glass, a tall glass, same thing. I'm just gently tapping it in there. You know, I want to know there's a little bit in there, but it goes a long way, and it really works great, especially if you start cramping up late at night. So yeah, there it is. And then this here, I don't measure this either. I just tip it up, little splash in the bottle, throw my ingredients in there. The only thing that I'm kind of, you know, been measuring is, and not even measuring, it's just 3 pinches of this. And if I don't feel like there's enough salt in there, I'll just toss in another pinch, let it absorb and stir. Now, when I make the electrolyte mixture in my water bottle. I put all the ingredients in the water bottle. I top it off. Do not fill it up halfway and shake it, because it will create suds from here to here. And it'll take forever for the suds to go down. I don't know why it suds up. It's either the, the combination of everything, and if you shake it, it just creates suds. So don't do that. And just throw all of your ingredients in your bottle for your to-go bottle, and then shake it up before you start drinking it. So at about 9 o'clock, I'll take this bottle and I'll just shake the crap out of it. And then I'll just set it back in the cup holder of the truck, let it sit there for a minute or two for everything to kind of chill out, and then I'll start drinking it. And then after the bottle gets down to about here, I will start shaking it again. And then just make sure everything else is shaken up. And I try to make sure this bottle is gone by noon. And then I start working on one of these bottles here. Like I said, this is just to get me home. Now after I'm home, before bedtime, I take a tall glass and I put the same electrolyte mixture in a glass, and I drink that before bedtime. And that alleviates all the nighttime cramps, and it helps me sleep a lot better at nighttime. So that should hopefully help some of you out understand, what's going on here and why certain things are. And if you've never done research on Bragg's, let's see, Bragg's apple cider vinegar, most important part is with the mothers. I mean, I'll always back this product here. Whatever the price is on the shelf, I'm probably going to just pay it. If this stuff got up to $50 a gallon, yeah, I'd buy this stuff. And I always recommend buy at least 1 or 2 of these jars. And then after that, go buy the bulk container, because you're going to save a lot of money. You don't have to worry about washing these jars after you're done. You can rinse them out with water, but then you just get a food funnel. You start refilling it with the gallon jug. And this stuff is just shelf stable. You don't have to refrigerate it or nothing. But there is just a ton of nutritional value in that Bragg's apple cider vinegar right there. And I'm pretty sure I was using that stuff before I even started losing weight. And I think a lot of, what happened to me prior to, starting to lose weight, that this is what helped me a lot. It kept me from being a diabetic. It helped my respiratory system. It helped a lot of things. It helped me from being constipated. So if you get constipated, this is another savior. Constipation. That's a great topic. All right. The reason I do all of this, everything here, water bottles, see these? Okay. If you're going to do carnivore, you have to stay hydrated. If you're going to do fasting of any type, you have to stay hydrated, because a lot of our water comes from the foods we eat. You start taking out the vegetables, the fruits, the calorie intense drinks that a lot of people like to drink, and you're just drinking 1 or 2 glasses of water. Guess what's going to happen, man? All that freaking meat is going to get compacted in the boohoo. Yeah, try to avoid that, please. Trust me, it's not a fun experience, and it's something that can typically happen, especially with people that are like on a holiday. Let's talk about one of the holidays, Thanksgiving, for instance. I know a lot of you have overindulged in turkey meat on Thanksgiving. I mean, all that extra protein, all the other stuff that goes along with it, along with the sugars, puts you in a coma. And sometimes you're, if you're at a relative's house, you're just begging for a spot to lay down. You're fighting over the couch, and you just want to take a heavy nap just for, a couple hours, because all that extra food has just put you just upside down for the evening. Overall, especially after day 3, I noticed some changes right away. My fingernails have gotten a lot healthier. This is just from, 5 or 6 days of eating carnivore. And I thankfully I trimmed them before this video, because they grew incredibly long. They grew so long that I had a hard time responding to messages on my cell phone. Because, girls, this, because your fingernails kind of get in the way of pressing buttons, and I was making a lot of mistakes, and it was really annoying. So I trimmed my nails down a little bit, but my nails have grown considerably. My face looks like it's clearing up a little bit. I mean, it had a little bit of red here and there. It was a little patchy and blotchy. Now that's clearing up a little bit. And if you drink a lot of water, that will also help clear up a lot of skin issues. But most of all, that water, keeps you from being constipated. So if you should ever get constipated, one of the best cures for constipation, the easiest thing you can do if you have nothing at all, is drink more water, because there's not enough water in your system to help pass whatever's in there. And magnesium helps. Apple cider vinegar definitely helps. It also helps regulate women's hormones when they're menstruating and stuff like that. So apple cider vinegar is pretty powerful stuff. And it'll do a lot of things for many different reasons. And if you have any medical issues at all, go research the apple cider vinegar. Well, anyways, guys, I'm going a little long again with this video, but I do appreciate you dropping in. I mean, I'm trying to just figure this stuff out. My food's getting cold. Look at all that butter. Oh my goodness. That's great. Now, you don't even have to, if you got this much butter on there and it's salted butter or you add salt, yeah, man, you don't even have to add like any sauces or anything. Now, I don't even, is that a thing? You guys add sauces to your carnivore meals, or you just eat the meat and the cheese and the butter and hope for the best? Or do you add anything? Can you let me know? I mean, what do you do to make this a little bit more interesting? Because this is what I got for at least the next 3 or 4 days. But all right, guys, if you could do me a favor and leave me a comment down below. Salted or unsalted butter? What do you think of this no salt? Is this something you're going to be looking into? Have you ever done research on apple cider vinegar? This is important stuff for us to be talking about right now. I mean, real lemon juice is, you know, this is just a brand name, but actual real lemons, if you can use those, if you got the money for it, if you're in a place that citrus grows and you can get a lot of citrus for free, I'd recommend using the real lemon, actual real lemon, and squeezing that into your mixture. But anyhow, guys, it's been fun, and until next time, I appreciate you all, and I look forward to reading your comments and responding back. You take care. We'll see you in the next one.